What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Mark Dark, and I'm back with another video. If you're new, if you love Fightland, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave your theories, comments, everything down below. Now today, we're going to be talking about Fightland Season 1, Episode 2. This is the recap. Down below, I want you guys to let me know, how did y'all feel about this episode? Now, my Fightland recaps will be back on Fridays. I know this last week I was kind of busy with Raising Kanan. To be honest, the last 2 weeks, because these last 2 episodes of Raising Kanan was crazy as hell. And of course, we had the series finale. So I was a tad bit more busy when it comes to dropping content for that show. And it is a little bit more harder to drop, recaps when episodes air on the exact same date. You know what I'm saying? Stars dropping, Raising Kanan and Fightland on the same date, which makes it more difficult to drop 2 different recaps, especially when you're going over both of these episodes. So with Raising Kanan ending, you already know I'm going to give you guys more of Fightland content. The recap will be back out on the Fridays. And of course, I will be dropping the what to expect for episode 3, along with other videos as well. You already know I'm going to give you guys the final predictions and quick thoughts and all that stuff. That will be, dropping this week as well at the correct time. So stay tuned for that. But overall, we had another solid episode from Fightland. They're not wasting any time as far as these storylines. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen as far as when Kinsley does return. Know what I'm saying? We know there was kind of hinting that maybe he's up out of here, but I think he's going to return and all hell is going to break loose eventually. Your boy Duke is, executing his game plan. He is adapting and things are heating up. But as I told you guys before, we know Kim, she is more than meets the eye. And y'all saw in this episode, it seems like Kim has her own agenda and maybe she's working with the feds. So we're going to talk about that in this video. But you guys, if you haven't seen my last few videos, check out my Raising Kanan, episode 8 recap, the series finale. Of course, I dropped the Remember and Rock video, and I gave you guys my closing thoughts for Your Girl Jukebox. So check it out if you have not seen it. But let's go ahead and talk about the topic of discussion. I will try to focus on the key points that we saw in this episode. So what did we see in episode 2, titled Brick by Brick? Now the episode starts out exactly where we left off in episode 1. We got Lazaro. He is questioning your boy Duke and Jay. He wants to know why the hell is Jay there. He's not trusting them at all. And of course Duke tells him, look, he ain't got nothing to do with Simeon. Simeon, of course, is the cousin of Zeke and your girl Cece, and he followed him, right? Now Duke is willing to risk his life for his best friend Jay. He tells Lazaro, like, look, you can go ahead and just kill me, but you will have to explain to Armando, your boss, why this operation did not go as planned. So Lazaro ends up letting it slide, and apparently Jay is a part of the operations, and he wants to be a part of it. Like, dude, you will regret this. I don't know why you're trying to stick around. I understand that Duke is your best friend, but don't be crying when things go sideways, because we already know things will definitely go sideways eventually, and Jay is definitely going to regret ever being involved in any of this. Now Duke, he is taking Simeon's phone. He is texting the person, letting them know that the game plan has changed. And this person that he is texting, we find out at the end of the episode that this person is Kim. So we're going to talk about that eventually. Now Duke and Jay end up getting pulled over by law enforcement. Unluckily, Duke was in the car because the officer saw him, and now the officer just wants to take a picture and everything like that. And they also tell the officer that the Duke is training for an upcoming fight, but they do not want him to tell anybody. They're just doing whatever they got to do to neutralize him somehow, some way in this game plan. It actually worked. Now, we get to your boy Lazaro, and he is dumping Simeon's body in the ocean. And I'm like, man, eventually this body is going to mess around and pop back up, but that's just what I'm thinking. He also blows up the van as well, sets it on fire, but I got a feeling this may not be over yet. Y'all can let me know what y'all think. Now, after getting law enforcement off their back, which was a very smart move because we know they had all those drugs in the back, they end up being late for the shipment with the Albanians, so they were not able to plant those drugs on them, and now they have to come up with another game plan to do this. Now, Jay apparently knows the Albanian boss's son, which his name is, I think, Lorik or something like that, and he works at a club. So the game plan is to go there to see if they can get some type of intel. That way they can plant these drugs at that club. Now I know this had to get to Duke. As you can see, his picture was on the wall. This picture was up there before he got locked up. So he comes back home and he can see it right now. And it says, not the Duke, but somebody spray painted bitch on there. So I know he's upset. And as a fighter, I know deep down inside, he wants to go out there and prove himself once again and become a champion. Now, Duke eventually ends up going to Marshall Promotions boxing gym. We know he's working there, helping out with the fighters. And he goes into the office and he's able to get Simeon's foul because he wants to see if he can get any intel on him. Now, apparently, the ring girls are not getting paid. They want to know where the hell is Simeon at because he's not answering his phone, and this is not like him. We also know that Kim, she is there as well, and she is flirting with the Duke, pretty much throwing it at him, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much saying, look, you can go ahead and take this if you want this for real, but Duke, he has to play it real cool or whatever, but eventually they will be hooking up. We already talked about this before, and based on what we saw at the end of the episode, I believe Duke will try to get intel from her. Now, we get to your boy Jay. He goes to the club. He meets up with Lurik. We know he is the son of the Albanian leader. And we know Jay used to work for him, in the past. We know Jay is a debt collector, right? So he used to do that type of work for him. And we know Lurik does end up inviting Jay to a party. But y'all know Jay, he is just trying to get some intel. That way, they can plant the drugs there and pin this on the Albanians because they're trying to start a war with the Marshals and the Albanians. But of course, that game plan definitely backfires. Now, we get to your girl Cece, and she is trying to get sports betting in her casino in London, and she's talking to your boy Scott, and at first he wasn't really feeling it or whatever because the reputation of her father and all that stuff, but it seems like maybe he is willing to do it after Cece tells him all the money that they can make. And I believe she said Vegas made around $72 million in sports betting, and basically they can make over a billy in London because it's an untapped market. So after she said that, he's like, okay, are you willing to do whatever it takes? She tells him, hell yeah. So it seems like these two will have a connection and they just may end up hooking up from the looks of it. Or maybe it's just business. Now, after watching the Albanians leave the club, we know that Jay, Duke, and Lazaro, they go to the club. Their plan is to plant these drugs there. And unfortunately, they notice that the phone is still there. So that means someone is there. And of course, it's your boy Lurik. And he's there and he ain't going out without a fight. Now, Lazaro ends up taking this guy out. He drops him off. And that's a big deal because we know he is the son of Nadim, which is, of course, the leader of the Albanians. So Duke comes up with another game plan on the fly. He decides to open up some drugs, leave it there. That way, when they find his body, the marshals are going to think that the Albanians did it, of course, but seeing how they're going to cut this guy's tongue out, then the Albanians will say the Russians set them up. So this is going to cause like a huge war. That is the game plan. And of course, the game plan is executed to the T. We see this by the end of the episode. Now, Duke goes home and he hears his father on the phone talking to a promoter. They're talking about they're willing to pay the Duke $15 million to come out of retirement and have a fight. The Duke ain't going, know what I'm saying? He hangs up the phone and he's like, what the hell are you doing? And he tells Duke all you can really do is just listen to these offers, especially when they offering that type of money. Duke tells him, look, he's not thinking about boxing at all. And his dad tells him, well, you struggling. You ain't really got too much. And whatever you do next, you got to make sure you're happy. So we're going to see what ends up happening. I got a feeling the Duke may end up returning to the boxing ring in the future. Now, we get to Joy and Duke. We know he calls her. He wants to meet up with her to catch up once again. And Joy and Duke, they're reminiscing, having good old times, right? Joy tells him, do you think that Kinsley, set us up or whatever? He says, nah, he don't believe that. But he does believe that for real, but he's not going to tell her his real game plan. The two are getting real close. It seems like they may end up hooking up, but Joy's like, nah, I can't do it. Know what I'm saying? We cannot continue to be playing these games or whatever. She is like playing hard to get. And we know she ends up leaving to go meet up with Cece. But I'm thinking just like your boy Duke was thinking. Like, why did you show up? You're talking about I'm playing games or whatever. But nah, you showed up for a reason. You trying to hook up for real. Stop playing these games. That's what you doing. Eventually, she gonna break in my opinion. But we gonna see. You know what I'm saying? But this whole thing with Joy and Duke, it's definitely more to the story. And I don't believe Kinsley was the one that set them up. It could have been Cece or even, his son. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's someone else. Now, we know Zeke and Cece had a conversation about the Albanians and those drugs being found. And Zeke is pissed off. He wants to just go ahead and drop them off, get them up out of here. But Cece tells him, nah, we got to keep the peace. We got to figure everything out before we make a move or whatever. And then we know Joy, she ends up walking in, and Cece and Joy have a conversation about Joy, because Joy, she ended up telling her driver slash security that he can go home, but he was supposed to watch her. And Cece is like, look, I need him to watch you, to protect you, because anything can happen. And we know Joy tells her she does not need anybody watching her. She's a grown woman, pretty much, right? And Cece tells her, look, you are a leech. Know what I'm saying? And basically your value is only as good as the person that you're laying on your back for. So she's pretty much just calling her out. And of course, Joy tells her sometimes you got to let kids have a temper tantrum. Know what I'm saying? Let them talk. And of course, your girl Cece wasn't going. She tells her, well, keep that security slash driver on you at all times. Or basically, you don't want Kinsley to find out about what you've been doing for real. And I believe that's because she knows about, Joy in the Duke's past. Because Joy is like, okay, you got it. You are crystal clear. I got you. I'm not going to, mess this up. So I definitely think it's more to the story. And maybe this whole thing with Kinsley is not the way that your boy Duke thinks it is. Maybe someone else set all this up. Now, I do know based off that official trailer that your girl Joy will be putting those hands on Cece eventually. I just don't know what episode that's going to be in, but of course I cannot wait to see it. Now we get to fight night, and we know your boy Zeke, he has everything in his favor, right? He got the ref paid off, and his guy Kareem is getting his ass beat for real. Now Duke luckily is in his corner, and he tells Kareem, look, you need to go ahead and low blow this guy. That way he can, headbutt you and get disqualified, because old boy is beating the brakes off of him. The referee was already counting slow and everything like that. But once Kareem went back out there, he low blowed him, and then his opponent ended up headbutting him because he was very frustrated, and then he disqualified him, right? So, of course, the fans, they're going crazy. A damn riot breaks out in the crowd, and we know Kareem ended up winning. Now, after the fight, we know the other fighters' team came back there. They was pissed off. They want to know what the hell is going on. And, of course, your boy Zeke has to play it off like it was not that big of a deal, but they ain't playing around. And they end up getting into it. And we know your boy Duke pulls out a crowbar. He beats the brakes off one of the guys. But this probably is not over yet. And we know Zeke ends up telling Duke, thank you for saving me. You know what I'm saying? And basically he wants the Duke to go with him with this meeting with the Albanians. And we know Duke does tell Zeke that if he's going to be having these fixed fights and doing all this dirty stuff, that he needs to be a little bit sharper. He said that his father used to do that, but his father was very slick when he did it. So Duke tells him, look, I can help you become better at doing this. So it seems like, Zeke trusts Duke a whole lot. And this is the reason why he wants him to go to that meeting with him. But we also know that Duke was supposed to be meeting up with Simeon's handler, right? So he ends up having to text your boy Lazaro and tell him he needs to, basically take his spot and meet up with this person at 11 p.m. because he's going to be going with Zeke to meet up with the Albanians. So that is the game plan. We also know earlier on in the episode, after looking through Simeon's file, that Lazaro believes that maybe Simeon is working with the feds. So this is very interesting, because if so, does that mean that your girl Kim is the feds? Is she law enforcement? Well, I guess we got to wait and see exactly how this is all going to play out. Now we get to the meeting with the Albanians, and Nadim, he is pissed off because, of course, he found his son dead with all those drugs there. Of course, the marshals are believing that the Albanians took their drugs, but his tongue is cut out. So Nadim is telling them, look, it was not us. We've been set up by the Russians. We don't like them anyway. And basically, it's about to be a damn war. You know what I'm saying? Because he is not going down for this at all. He understands this is what the Russians do. They're trying to send a message or whatever. So cutting out the tongue is their thing. And he's like, look, if your father was here, he would not be playing around. He would already handle this, right? And he says, look, it's whether going to be blood or war. So he ain't going, and your boy, Duke is happy as hell because this is exactly what he wanted to happen. And he's hoping that maybe this is going to get Kinsley to return to help save his family, because the last thing that he wants is a damn war popping off. And we know earlier on in the episode that Cece and Zeke was talking about the Africans. Apparently, the Africans are the ones who supplies them their drugs, but they're pissed off and upset because of what happened with this last shipment, with it being stolen. So they told them, until this issue is figured out, they're not going to give any more supply. So all this needs to get figured out real quick, because if they don't get these drugs, they will not have money to fund the whole boxing thing. And of course, they will not have money to fund the casino as well. So that's a major issue. Now we get to the end of the episode. We know Lazaro goes and he's about to meet up with this handler or whatever. And as we can see, it's your girl Kim. Now her description reads, Kim is Marshall Promotions' newest ring girl. Upon developing a friendship with Duke, it appears that there's more to Kim than meets the eye. So what does that mean? We know Lazaro believes that Simeon was working with the Fed. So does that mean that Kim is law enforcement? At the end of the day, we know Kim and Duke will be hooking up, and maybe he is trying to, get close to her to gain some type of leverage, to gain some type of intel. But it is definitely more to her character that we gotta, figure out. And I cannot wait to see exactly how it's all going to go down. We know that Lazaro saw her go into like a diner or whatever, so he went in there as well. So they may end up having a conversation, or he may just sit back to see exactly what she's all about. But eventually, we're going to find out the truth. But down below, I want you guys to let me know, what do y'all think about episode 2? I will be dropping the what to expect for episode 3 this week, so stay tuned for that. As I told you, the recaps, the quick thoughts, and all that stuff will be dropping one time this week, so don't worry about it. I got y'all. We are finally caught up. But I want to thank you guys once again for all the love, all the support, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. But let me get up on out of here, man. It's your boy Mark Dark. I'm out. Peace.